My son sent me to prison for 2 years, blaming me for his wife's miscarriage, something I never did. Every month they came to visit me, but I always refused to see them. The day of my release will also be the very day they lose everything. My name is Warren Brooks. I am 58 years old. I am an African American man born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio. For 33 years I worked as a municipal electrical engineer for the City Transit Authority. I was known as a quiet, dependable man. I believed in routine honesty and providing without noise. I raised my son Marcus alone after his mother Denise died from cancer when Marcus was 12. I am not a perfect man, but I am a patient one. I never raised my hand in anger. I believed respect grows from example, not fear. I lived in a modest brick house on Cedar Avenue. I saved carefully and invested slowly. I planned for a calm retirement. I believed my greatest achievement was raising a kind son. Marcus is now 32 years old. He works as a junior real estate developer. He is charming, ambitious, and deeply insecure. He married Evelyn Carter when he was 29. Evelyn is 30 years old. She works as a lifestyle content consultant. She is intelligent, polished, and image-driven. She values appearances and social position above truth. I noticed this early, but I stayed respectful. I wanted peace, not conflict. I believed love would soften her edges. The trouble began 2 years ago in early spring. Evelyn announced she was pregnant. Marcus was ecstatic. I was careful, joyful, and supportive. I offered help without control. I paid for prenatal care upgrades and arranged a family lawyer to help Marcus restructure assets for the future child. I also insisted on a prenuptial trust to protect the child. Evelyn smiled, but her eyes hardened. She agreed publicly and resisted privately. I noticed tension but stayed silent. 3 months into the pregnancy, Evelyn suffered a miscarriage. It was tragic and painful. Marcus collapsed emotionally. I tried to support him. Evelyn withdrew and blamed everyone around her. A week later, police officers came to my home at dawn. I was arrested for felony assault causing bodily harm resulting in miscarriage. The charge claimed I pushed Evelyn during a private argument at my house. I was stunned. I had never been alone with her. I barely raised my voice to anyone in my life. Marcus stood behind the officers. He would not meet my eyes. Evelyn sat in the car wrapped in a blanket. Her face was pale and composed. I asked Marcus what was happening. He said he had no choice. He said evidence existed. He said a neighbor saw me. He said the law would decide. That was the last sentence he spoke to me freely for 2 years. The trial was fast and brutal. Evelyn testified calmly. She described a confrontation about money and control. She cried at the right moments. A neighbor hired by Evelyn testified that he saw a shove through a window. Medical testimony was inconclusive but suggestive. My public defender was overworked. Marcus funded a private attorney for Evelyn. I was sentenced to 2 years in state prison. I remember the sound of the gavel. I remember Marcus' face as relief, not grief. That broke me more than the sentence. Prison stripped me down to truth. I worked in the library. I read law books. I kept my head low. I refused visits. Every month Marcus and Evelyn came. I declined. I could not bear the sight. I used the time to think. I replayed every moment. I found holes. I found lies. I found motive. Evelyn had been seeing another man. A fitness brand executive named Nolan Pierce. I learned this through letters from a former colleague whose niece worked with Evelyn. The timing of the miscarriage aligned with a medical condition Evelyn hid. A condition that made pregnancy risky. She knew. Marcus did not. I also learned Marcus had transferred property titles during my incarceration. My house, my savings, my retirement accounts, all moved under a power of attorney I had signed years earlier for emergencies. He used it fully, legally, coldly. I felt betrayal but also clarity. This was not rage. This was calculation. I made a plan. I contacted an old friend, Samuel Reed. He is 61 years old. He is a retired federal investigator turned private consultant. He is methodical, patient, and loyal. I told him everything. I asked him to verify, not avenge. He agreed. Over 18 months he gathered evidence. Medical records, financial transfers, text logs, location data, security footage from a gym parking lot, a hotel lobby camera. He built a timeline. It was clean. It was devastating. The day of my release arrived in late autumn. I walked out with a small box and a straight spine. Marcus and Evelyn waited outside with a camera crew. They planned a public forgiveness moment. I walked past them. I did not speak. I went to a small apartment Samuel had arranged. I slept for 12 hours. The next morning I began. First I filed a civil suit for malicious prosecution. The evidence Samuel collected was submitted quietly. The district attorney reopened the case. Evelyn was charged with perjury and conspiracy. The neighbor admitted he was paid. The medical expert revised testimony. The conviction was vacated. My name was cleared publicly within weeks. Second, I filed for recovery of assets based on abuse of power of attorney. Marcus was served papers at a development launch event. Investors froze funding. Banks flagged accounts. His partners stepped away. He came to my door crying. I did not open it. Third, I contacted Nolan Pierce's employer. I provided evidence of the affair conducted during company-funded travel. He was terminated. Evelyn lost her consulting contracts due to breach of morality clauses. Her image collapsed fast. Marcus tried to apologize. He said he was manipulated. He said grief blinded him. He said he thought prison would break me, not end me. I listened once in a mediated room. I told him I loved the boy I raised. I told him I did not recognize the man he became. I told him accountability is not a feeling. It is action. I walked away. The final turn came quietly. I established a foundation for men wrongfully convicted. I funded it with recovered assets. I hired Marcus' former partners to manage it under strict oversight. I offered Marcus a job as a junior administrator with probation and ethics training. He declined. Pride remained. Evelyn was sentenced to prison time and restitution. She tried to speak to me once. I refused. Silence was my boundary. Today I live modestly again. I consult part-time. I mentor young engineers. I visit my wife's grave on Sundays. I carry pain but not poison. The day they lost everything was not loud. It was just. And I slept that night without weight on my chest. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And tell me, what would you have done if you were in my place?